It's always been one of my biggest goals to start a podcast, and today is that day. This is episode 1 of the Sweno Creative Podcast. Thank you for listening. This is the Sweno Creative Podcast. I'll be your host, professional photographer and video content creator, Bryon Sweno. In this podcast, we will discuss all parts of business, marketing, mindset, creativity, and self-improvement. Sometimes with the help of a special guest to provide some incredible outside perspective.
Is it time to start?
It is time to start.
You've been waiting on
Episode
me a minute.
1.
Episode
Very
uno.
first ever podcast.
Well, we've tried to kind of make some kind of podcast things, but like this is the very first one, and I have to like stare at you, which is kind of weird too.
Well, we're just having a conversation. You can emphasize some points, and
Like by
this is your
pointing
camera.
or just
no. Again, sums up. Okay, so
Sorry, I'm gonna wheeze.
episode 1, we need to tell the people, all like 100,000 of them that are going to be watching this, obviously, who you are, if they don't know you, who you are, what you do.
Okay. So, my name is Ramsey Stewart. That's still, I'm still cringed by even saying my name out loud. You know that through. My name's Ramsey Stewart. I'm a dad first and foremost, and I got a couple beautiful daughters, Alfie and Baby Bread, aka Greer, 3 and 17.
I like how her actual name is AKA'd.
Yes, yeah. Like we don't even call her Greer anymore. We call her Baby Bread. Thanks Timmy and Kyle for that. I'm a local real estate agent here in Lebanon and Lake of the Ozarks. I lived in Lebanon pretty much my whole life, kindergarten or first grade, and yeah, that's me. I'm me. What else? I have a beautiful wife. Her name's Crystal. K-Stu.
I was about to say, you're gonna leave her out of there too?
That's K-Stu, and no, we don't leave K-Stu out. But notice we don't call her Crystal either. We're a big nickname, but I somehow don't have a nickname. Alfie, Baby Bread, K-Stu, and then
You might have a nickname that they just don't tell you to your face.
probably, or they call me Paparazzi because I'm filming them all the time. So that's me.
So what has led you to where you are now? Like, what got you interested in real estate? I know a little bit of the backstory, but I don't know the whole entire scope of what got you from where you were to even just starting that.
Okay, so after college, I went to work for Missouri Eagle here in town, Charlie Brown. I'd worked for him in high school and some in college, and then I got out of college, and they had a full-time position open, so I jumped on that. Through that's where I kind of learned the ropes. I worked for them for 10 years full-time, 5 part-time. That was where I really got like customer service skills. Charlie was big on that, so like it was always like kind of the foundation of how I did what I did there. It was all based on customer service. And I had a friend, Nathan Cole, who owned the local Remax brokerage, and he had mentioned a handful of times like, you should get into real estate, and I was scared because W-2 jobs, insurance, all those sort of things. I couldn't take the leap. And then in 2015, I was offered a position at Independent Stave here in town, doing something completely different than what I was doing at Missouri Eagle. And I kind of wanted to see if there was other opportunities out there or what made sense. And so I went to work at Independent Stave and realized that wasn't the life for me. Like some amazing folks there and some hardworking people, but like I needed to be out and about in like sales or marketing or customer service or just things like that. So I was like, we gotta move. We gotta find something different. So I got another job. I got offered a job at a company in Marshfield, and I was selling labels, pressure sensitive labels for like equipment or food, soda, things like that. And so I was back in more of what fit, and they got rid of everybody. So I was kind of out on an island with nothing to do. I had never not had a job since I was like 15. It was the first time. Like,
And all of a sudden, nothing.
yeah, like I had no job. And right as that started, or right as that happened, like it was June. So it was summertime, and Uber had just kind of came to the area, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna Uber, figure out what I wanted to do. I applied for every job I could think of, and just nothing really came to fruition. And so I Ubered that whole summer down at Lake of the Ozarks and did really well with it. And it was just more about meeting people and providing a good experience and answering questions and introducing to the area. And like, it just all started pointing back to like real estate somehow. Something, I don't know if I gave somebody a ride, but like that we talked about it, and then it just was like, this is what I'm going to do. So once that summer ended, I went to real estate school in St. Louis and was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get started. And to be honest, I lived off Uncle Sam. I'd never done unemployment. I'd never done anything like that. So this was all a new territory, and we had a mortgage, and you had all these bills and different things. And so I just went to real estate school.
Do you think that if you wouldn't have got laid off totally, you would eventually have found your way to that? Or you think it was just like that sort of like leapfrogged you into why not try it almost?
Yes and no. I think that I needed a wake-up call, and I needed to figure out how to use my skill set, whether it be self-employed, whether it be for a company. But like, I think that it was leading to that, and I think I've always known that through having, like, I've had some amazing bosses and stuff, but I just always was a little bit outside the box on what I wanted to do within those companies and things. And I knew that nothing wrong with them, and I could always work for somebody, but like, it was time to see if there was a way to make this work.
Yeah.
Like, I had to give it a shot.
Have you always had that sort of mindset? Like, clearly we have a different sort of working relationship and friendship relationship, but like, you've always been a super outside the box idea person. Have you always been like that?
Yeah. Growing up, like, I was always just a little bit different than everybody. Like, I kind of looked at things through a different lens. I like new stuff, and I like different things, and I like to be ahead of the curve. And so like, I would have jobs like, like when I worked at Budweiser, I kind of redid my Budweiser route. That was something that had never been done there. And then we transitioned that into, I got off the beer truck and I went on to the soda side of things, and I did Monster Energy. And so I was able to kind of reconfigure that and like be more efficient with it, and kind of use a little bit of everything to still do the same thing and better. Mm-hmm. But like, it wasn't what had always been done at the company at that time. So there was always a little bit of me that liked to try to just do things differently. And I've always been that way. Like, I always want to be ahead, but I also always want to be taking care of people. And so it was a fun mix throughout the jobs I had. The worst, honestly, was probably the label company, because like, they basically handed me a database and said, start calling people. And like, that's not where I excel. Yeah. Like, I excel in sitting down, having a conversation, getting to know you, relationship based. And so it's been different, and it's been a great experience kind of going back, and like, real estate gives me the opportunity to do and highlight what I feel like I'm best at, and what I can do, and connect people and facilitate things. That's kind of where I'm finding out it's my best thing. I may not be the best real estate agent, but I'm really good at facilitating and helping people get from point A to point B. And it may be different than the agent down the street does it, and that's okay. Yeah. Because there's clients that are going to like the way I do it, and there's clients that are going to like the way that, those people do it. And so, again, it just gave me the ability to just do it my way and not to have to really answer to anybody. Of course, there's things that we had to answer to, but I didn't have a boss per se. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of been where it's all went. So yeah. From
the time where Nathan was talking to you about this, was he like a really big factor in the teaching, like the first steps of you becoming a real estate agent? Was he like the one you looked up to, the one who taught you stuff?
Well, in a way, yes, but by the time I got my license, he had passed away. So I didn't really get to experience like his leadership. I had experienced his friendship, and of course, I knew him really well outside of work, and he had helped us buy our first house. And so I got to kind of see how someone that does things different. I mean, we all know, if you knew Nathan at all, it was not, he didn't conform to anything. He was himself 100% of the time, and he did things the way he thought would work, and it worked. I mean, the way he built the business. And so, he led me to Remax because he had owned the Remax brokerage before he passed away, and Shelly bought it, and there was no question where I was going. Like, I wanted to get in touch with Remax and be part of that. So yeah, he helped me in that way. But I didn't really know he was helping me because it was, he passed away in 2017, in May of 2017, I believe. So is it? Yeah, 2017, I believe. And then I got my license in October of 2017. So there was like some time there, and it might have been 2016, but I'm pretty sure 2017.
Yeah.
So, and he had went out of production and wasn't really selling real estate at the time because he was so sick.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So leading into that, what was your first step into the real estate world? Like, what was that like from someone fresh, just like a new fish into the water, basically?
Man, it was chaotic because I didn't know. It's so different when you become self-employed and you become a 1099 person, and you see all these things, and like I mentioned that Nathan did it his own way, but like there was a process I didn't see of that he had done. So, I leaned on folks I was close to. Shelly Rhodes, she was great to kind of see and teach me what was going on, and then I just kind of went out there, but I did all the typical like real estate agent stuff, like the cringy Facebook posts and like just the
Some
things.
would say you still do that now.
Yeah, they do, and I still do. But like I thought, I went into it knowing I wasn't going to do it the traditional way, and so I kind of had to be self-taught on a lot of it because like all the things point you in like this certain direction, but like there's no playbook for the folks that are just like, how do I do it my way?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it kind of happened, and then it steamrolled. And what was different about my approach to it was my goal was one closing a month. And I knew that if, based on numbers and the market and what's going on, I knew if I made one closing a month at the average price point in Lebanon, I would make about what I did at my last year of working at Missouri Eagle. And I knew that was a good enough, that was a wage that I could live on, and I could kind of take some chances. But I also knew I wouldn't have to hunt or go after business in a weird way or buy leads or do any of that. If I could just close one a month, the numbers should work themselves out. And it was pretty crazy because in that first year, and I say first year because I started in October, so I really say the first year, meaning 2018. I think I closed like 27. I helped 27 families, so I doubled it.
Yeah.
So that was like, and it was all through no real like purchasing of leads. I didn't go to Zillow. I didn't go to Realtor.com. Like it was all like my sphere, social media, funny Facebook posts, referrals from friends, that way. So it's been a weird ride because it's not prototypical or typical of what we're supposed to do in the industry. And it's actually been great because it taught me to not be so much a salesperson, but more of an entrepreneur. And as I changed my mindset to entrepreneur and not just selling houses and doing that, then I started to really understand more ways to do things and ways to like get involved with different people in the industry too. That was a huge help, really relying on friends and making relationships across the country and across the world, really, with different real estate agents trying to do it the way I was doing it as opposed to the way their best friend did it or their mom did it or that sort of thing. So
you found success being yourself.
Right, exactly. And then I know you're going to ask this and we're going to get to it, but after that first year is then when video was like, that's what we're doing. That's where we're going. And so that's when it really took off.
So early on, you were thinking, I want to get into like video marketing. Before we even had a conversation, you were actively wanting to do that. You just didn't Like, how did that kind of come about?
Well, actually, I met people in the real estate industry, Brad McCallum, Bob Tompkins, Kristen Long, Bree White. There's just a handful of people that I had became close with and built relationships with. And some of those, Kristen and Bree were doing social media graphics and things like that. So I was leaning on them for ideas and putting my own spin on it. Mm-hmm. Kristen was big in Target, and I'm not a big Target guy. Crystal is, or K-Stu is, and so is Kristen, and so is a lot of other people. But I would see how Kristen would market via Target and kind of change that to, I did a lot of pop culture stuff, mm-hmm. memes, things like that. So I used that, and then I saw Brad McCallum, Bob Tompkins, Rob Levy is a friend of mine from Australia, Jesse Peters, and so I was I want to do that kind of video, and it didn't really dawn on me that I could do it until I did Dancing with the Stars. And when you do Dancing with the Stars, they make these video montages, and we went to a place here in town, and they had a studio set up like this. And the minute the light turned on, and they're action, that's when I was I started to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's when it was okay, video. I'm going to make high-end video that's valuable for my clients, the sellers that we sell their property, and it's a attraction marketing for myself and to grow my business. So that's when the outside the box thinking 10x'd into video and what they're doing, because it wasn't used around here very much.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when things took off.
So going into wanting to get into video, what was the first step that you, obviously we connected, but mm-hmm. how did that sort of come about from your perspective?
So actually I knew I wanted to do video, and I went to Denver, Colorado, and I went to video boot camp with Jesse Peters and Michael Thorne. And some of you watching this, I encourage you to go take a look at their stuff, because they did it in this truly authentic way that was different from the other folks that I was already connected with. They did it in more of this Midwestern connecting relationship, very raw way. And I knew I wanted to do some of that, but I also wanted to combine the Brads and the Bobs and those people, because they do this polished production and storytelling that's unheard of. So that's when I really jumped in, and that was May of 2018. That was about 3 or 4 months, I think, before I met you. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's when I went out there, and that's when the ball really started rolling. So I learned a little bit about editing, a little bit about audio, and just the basics. And so I think it was shortly after that you did the thing for Timmy. The very first thing you did for Timmy and Danielle, and was it for the gym? Yeah, it was for the gym, for cross train. Timmy, best friend, big dumb animal, love him to death. Can't wait till you have
confirm.
him. I can't wait till you have him on your podcast, because I'm just gonna watch.
That's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, but they did it, and that's where I first heard of you and kind of saw it. And I had, obviously I was going into it on a budget, because just when I built my business, I wasn't just gonna go spend a bunch of money or try to chase debt and chase those sort of things. So that's when I found you, and that's when we first started our connection. Was that I remember you came to the Remax office, and we sat down, and I showed you Brad work, Bob work, Jesse. I think I showed a little bit of that, mm-hmm. just some of the folks that I look up to, and that's when I was I want to do that.
Yeah.
How do we figure it out? And then
I was really just getting rolling at that point.
Right.
I was still in the beginner. I wouldn't say beginner phase. I was kind of in the novice, I knew what I was doing, but still kind of deer in the headlights whenever opportunities were thrown my way, sort of thing. So I was kind of that was a really big opportunity for me at the time. And obviously it's worked out and panned out, and we've made some really cool stuff. So from my perspective, that was a really cool, I think it was November or something like that.
We did our first listing video in November of that year, which I believe was 2018. It's all running together because of COVID and all that, but
I'm pretty sure it was.
That or it might have been 19.
No, it wasn't, because we worked together that whole 19 year before.
Yeah, so it would have been 2018. You're right, because we had a solid.
We had a whole entire year there,
because we did the Golden Girls, we did the very first one, we did the Lake one after that. The Lake one was shortly after COVID, or during COVID, but after everything kind of opened back up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was where it all like started, and it was cool because, like, you know, we've told people this, but like when you sat down with me and I sat down with you, like we dropped all the chains and all the barriers and said, how do we each do this? And obviously, you know, you're looking at it like, it's real estate, like blah blah blah, but I'm looking at it as like, that's my career, this is what I'm choosing to do. And so it was beneficial to me because we didn't have to, you were learning and I could leverage you learning as well as you could leverage me with the ability to just kind of go outside the box, and where you were really wanting to go is, and I know still, is that whole creative and like not be making these like cookie cutter typical things. And so it was like this perfect kind of timing. I had sold, and I also, Colby, your brother, I had sold him and Bethany a house that year, and that's when I also had kind of heard about you through them, and it just kind of was all these perfect little things lining up to ultimately us getting together and basically figuring out a way to make this happen for us both.
Yeah. I think it was a really cool opportunity for us both at that point, because you had been doing it for about a year. I'd been doing it for about a year and a half. So we were both kind of just on this upward trajectory of like looking for things that can help us level up, and then we both help each other level up. So before, we'll rewind a tiny bit, did you ever consider or try doing video stuff yourself? Or did you have any interest in doing that, or were you just like, I need to find someone to do this for me?
My deal is, and I've had people tell me it's an ego thing, and I've had people tell me that like I'm not, what's the word? People have told me I should, but I can't handle looking at the screen that I recorded and like I second guess myself. I question whether or not I said it the right way, or I do all that. So it was never comfortable. Like I'd done some Facebook Lives and that sort of thing, but never in like a marketing standpoint. And I didn't really understand at the time what I was doing. Like I didn't really get it. And that's where once I got in these video circles, I started to understand the brand and myself and what I could do with my brand. And so like I never wanted to put out anything that I wouldn't watch, that I wouldn't feel comfortable. And like another thing is like going back to like the whole like paying, and I've told you this numerous times, like if I make it myself, then it's just sitting there and I'll get to it when I get to it. If I call you and say, hey Bryon, like let's go shoot a listing video, then if I'm paying you for your services, I've got to see a return on that. So it motivated me more to want to get creative and want to do those things, because I had this like package that had to be dispersed and had to be distributed. So I mean, I dabbled in a little bit of video and like played around with some Vines at the time. I think Vine was still pretty
right
cool. Before it just crashed.
Got chopped off.
And then So yeah, to answer your question, I'd done a little bit, but not like the level of what we're doing. And I like computers and I like technology, but I'm not good at like the editing part. So really I hadn't done anything that was like even on the same page or level as what we did in that first listing video on Green Hills.
You probably almost had too big of ideas to be able to pull off yourself.
Right.
Being an idea guy, you got the idea, but you're like, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Right, because I didn't have all the equipment. I knew that I wasn't going to be good at trying to buy all that stuff. And again, it goes back to that whole like chasing that investment and making a return on it. I could make small investments in listing videos and things like that, and then I knew that those would return in a way that was way more and have a bigger reach than I could ever do. So that's when it started to really understand it. And then that's kind of when I changed to this whole entrepreneurial spirit as opposed to sales or realtor or whatever that may be. It's like I became more of a marketer, and I understood more of that being in real estate is being in marketing. You're just marketing houses as opposed to selling houses.
And you're putting yourself out there more.
Right. And that's where people, Jesse and Michael, and I hadn't heard this term until I went to video boot camp, but Jesse and Michael talk about know, like, and trust. And those are the 3 pillars to video and what it can do without ever meeting a person. And of course, in 2018, YouTube had been around and Facebook had been around and Instagram, but like they weren't really focusing on video. YouTube obviously was because it's YouTube, but Facebook wasn't pushing video content as much. And so I was kind of I was a little bit late, but I was also at the very beginning of really making video content. So it was cool because what's funny and the cycle that you're seeing is like when I went to video boot camp, Jesse and Michael, I think, even said on day one, like filming horizontally if you're doing video or vertically if you're doing video is dumb. Turn your phone sideways. Well, now we're in a TikTok age and Instagram Reels and Facebook Reels and YouTube Shorts where you and I have had this discussion. Yeah. Like I'm still like now everything needs to be vertical. Like why aren't these?
That's why I had to frame you up a little bit better. That way I can cut it.
Right.
I can cut it more.
And that way, and that's part of learning and understanding and like really like being involved in the video communities, whether it's in real estate or entrepreneurship or one I'm really getting into is Drunk on Social, which is with Jeff Fitzer and Tristan Ahumada, and learning more about the power of now we know how to make video and we know what's good video and what content to make, but now it's more like really diving in and getting that exposure for myself, for clients in their houses or local businesses or that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, you mentioned the know, like, and trust thing. Can you talk about that a little bit? I've heard that in different business podcasts and different stuff. That's not a real estate thing. That's like a business thing.
Right. People want to work with people they know. And there's no better way to show a person who you are, what you stand for than video, so they can get to know you. Then they want to work with people they like. I don't want to buy a car from someone that I don't enjoy talking to. So you know them, like them through your personality, through what you do, through your content, and then trust. And I think trust was the part that I probably put to the back burner first because, like, I'm not good at like being this stats guy and all the informative things and like I understand it, but I also know that if it's something I don't know, I need to put you with someone that I trust to get you the answer you need. I know values of homes, but I don't understand all the time about certain loan types. So I don't need to be answering those questions or marketing about these kind of loans. That's not who I am. Yeah. There's people that I trust. So if you're trusting me that I'm putting you in contact with the people that you need, then again, that's where know, like, and trust. And that's kind of also with what we can do at Collab is we can work with people that we trust and get to know them through video and through these sort of things, and then understand their businesses. And then we can always go to people and go, I don't know shit about fuck. That's an Ozark line, but like we can push them in the direction of people that we've partnered with. And again, back to, we've seen it recently with some ideas we have out there and things that are happening is like, I don't have all the answers, but I've got people that do. And so we'll get them in that direction. So know, like, and trust, I think, like you said, I think it can go across all industries, across anything.
I think it can be applied to whole life. But if people know you and like you, then you give them absolutely no reason not to trust you.
Right, exactly.
And then they will be friends with you. Those friends will tell their friends to, you have a business, you have a podcast, you have a real estate business. Every single person who you talk to can lead to something else.
Well, and small business is networking. Real estate industry is networking. And it's different now, than it was 20 years ago, or it was 5 years ago, or it was 2 years ago. Yeah. it's changing, but the human connection and the relationship building is like the foundation of every business. And, word of mouth. And, we all talk about wanting Google reviews and we want all these reviews and everything, but like word of mouth is still the number one driver of my business, of probably your business. And
100% of everything I've done is word of mouth,
right.
Or me putting content or something out.
So it's, and I'm still learning too. And I know that there's mindset shifts that are happening. Mm-hmm. There's things in the industry, there's things in the business community, there's things in the community that are, people are starting to grasp it. And it wasn't until I changed brokerages, and it allowed me the opportunity to move into this collab space, mm-hmm. and do some of those things. But like it gave me, I get to see things through a different lens now. And it's been awesome for me because it's really helped kind of scale to that next level of what we're doing. So, and that's Real Broker, by the way. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. So
let's talk about that transition, because that was a big transition for you, for me, for us as a unit.
Right.
So let's kind of talk through that. Like, what was the benefits of doing that, and then leading forward to what we're doing now?
So it was January of 2021, so 2 years ago, that a friend of mine reached out, and we were, these dynamic personalities and these people building something a little bit non-traditional and kind of forming a group, and the opportunity to join Real Broker was presented, and I love Remax. Like, they were amazing to me. I've got lifelong friends there. The broker here in town, Shelly, she was great. Like, all the credit goes to her for kind of setting my foundation of my business up. But I knew I needed the opportunity to kind of step out, and I had to look at my business. I had to look at my expenses. I had to come up with a way to do this, because I knew that something was missing in Lebanon and in my business, mm-hmm. and I knew that I needed to be able to kind of pivot. COVID was so weird too, because spring of 2020, if you're watching the news, you're doing all this, you're thinking life is over. We're not selling houses. Are we essential versus are we not essential? Like what are we doing? Can we go to the office? Can we not go to the office? Like, all of these things. And then like the exact opposite happened in the real estate world. Like, I became busier than I've ever done. And it was, video had started, and then
in 2020.
Yeah. In 2020, then COVID hit. And then like that planted the seeds for more business. Cause I think it ended up in 2021 or 2020, I closed, like 64 transactions, or I had 64 sides. So like all this had happened, and it was like time to like really look and go, okay, I went from figuring things out, not knowing what was going on, to making a living, to now like I've got to get more intentional. Mm-hmm. And so the opportunity to join Real Broker came up, and it was cool because like no one was around here in Real Broker, and the cloud-based model is kind of the new thing in real estate. So it was like, man, I got all these great friends going over here. I've got a community of people. I need to open and try some different things. And so it just kind of all hit right at the same time. And it was like, if I'm going to do collab, then I've got to be at a spot where I can be more efficient, understand my business better, understand where I'm at. Brad McCallum talks all the time about not renting your business, and like I was at the point where I was ready to buy my first business, essentially, and so Real Broker was the opportunity there. So that's when it all happened. And unfortunately, as you saw, like it took time to get this spot and get it all worked out, but in the end, I think it all did what the timing was better than I ever could have imagined.
Yeah. So whenever you decided to make that leap, I remember you talking to me about this for weeks, about there's this new thing, I'm thinking about doing this. And I was like, I was at the point where I was about to leave the factory. So it's like a gigantic moment in both of our lives, and it was happening like simultaneously as we're both helping each other build a business and stuff too on our own.
Right.
So it was like a really cool thing to see you going through the same thing. I mean, it's almost essentially like you starting a whole nother business, leaving some sort of security. You've built it up a little bit, and then you're jumping off sort of on an island by yourself.
Right.
At the same point that I am working 52 hours a week every week and trying to build this business on the side, and I'm like, I'm just going to do it.
I'll never forget. I think it was March. I joined Real Broker in February of 2021, and I remember had this one thing I didn't realize when I was with my previous brokerage was at the office every day. Mm-hmm. I made it a point to be there at 9:30 pretty much every day. And if I was there for a couple hours and then I went and showed houses or did whatever, great. But I made it a point to get up and do that. And so when I left there and I joined Real, obviously with the cloud brokerage, there's no office spaces. You don't have all those things, but you don't have the costs that are associated with those as well. So I remember it was like March, maybe April. And I don't think you had left yet. Because when did you leave?
March 18th was my last day.
Okay, so this was early March. And I remember I'm in shorts and a T-shirt, and it's 9 o'clock in the morning probably. It might have been afternoon. But I remember vividly pacing in my daughter's bedroom, talking on the phone with you, and saying, hey, if I get this space, it's so funny because I remember saying to you, it sounds really arrogant, but I remember thinking that you're gonna hate being at home all the time. Mm-hmm. You're so used to going, I learned this in 4 weeks, but you're so used to getting up every morning, going. You came home, I knew your schedule. We talked about it, and so I remember pacing back and forth and just presenting the idea, and literally you basically being like, no.
Yeah.
I was it's like shit.
But at that point, it's like, I had 100% committed. I put it in 3 weeks notice instead of 2
mm-hmm.
to the job I had, and I knew this was coming up in 2 weeks. And I was like, I've never worked from home before. I've never even not had a job since I was 16 years old.
Right.
So I'm like, one life change at a time.
Right.
Let's just. It's a great idea, but let me figure this out first.
And in hindsight, the timing, could have been better. Obviously, it could have been a lot better. But I just had this idea of a spot, and I knew that if we did something like this, and we basically scaled from the original partnership of, like we talked about, and I've told people, it wasn't about me in the video. It was about teaming up with you and then showing what you did in the video, mm-hmm. and showing how I might have had the creative idea, but you had the technical aspect and all that. And then it was it was adding you to the video, and in the video world, in the real estate world, I got chastised for letting you put your logo after the introduction or at mm-hmm. the beginning. And people are like, that's so dumb. You're paying him. But I was like, you guys might have done it your way, but this is my way of doing it.
But you told me to do that.
Right.
You said, I want you to be in it. That wasn't me just being like, yeah.
No, and that's where the partnership started. And that's where we started to really see, because again, it wasn't just about Ramsey Stewart, the real estate agent, or 123 Main Street. It was about two people in small business, showing that you can work together. But I didn't know it at the time. I didn't have that whole collaboration over competition mindset yet. I knew it was cool, and I knew it was fun, and I knew no one else would do it, because we even talked about like I said, well, if I'm going to hire you, you can't work for another real estate agent. And at the time, I thought that was great. You accepted the role, but also no real estate agents were wanting to do what I was wanting to do. Yeah. So it was a good thing. But as we grew that, and then I started to understand more about collaborating, and it's kind of funny because we've talked about, we were building something backwards, really, is mm-hmm. what we were doing. But it was the right way to us, but it was backwards to the rest of the world and the rest of the people. So yeah, when I said that, and like I said, I remember walking around my house just telling you man, you can have a studio. It's a place to work. I'll handle the I'll handle the meeting space and all that, but like I need you to do the studio, and it's good for you. Excuse me. It's good for me. And it's been hard because like one thing, and I hope I've done well about this, is like I don't want to take advantage of you. There are times that I can take advantage of what you're doing, but not take advantage of you. And there is a fine line there. And I knew if we went to collab and we opened this space, like now and you're seeing it more through Facebook Lives that I've started to get into, but it's a nice polished screen with the, and like I'm able to listen, learn, I'm asking questions. Like I can do the things I want to do, and we can get back into doing more of that professional stuff and like these podcasts and like cool listing videos. And there's still a business relationship between you and I, but now we have this whole other little kind of organism that's growing and like, it's multiplying, and it's so many cool things. And I knew that once we got it, and I knew it, and fortunately, you took off. You go from working 50 hours a week and a paycheck and insurance and all that, and our relationship from that started spawning into other jobs. You started you had the Graven's job and the Results Still, and like those things started to propel you to another level that you weren't really. I think I can say this, but you kind of weren't really ready for. Like you were ready, but like. You were kind of like, holy shit.
Well, I was just full on sprint mode. Like, I don't care what's coming. I'm just going after it because I like almost like, trying to tread water at first. You can have that. I'm jumping off full time. No one in my family's history has done this. I know it's possible because I see people doing it, but there's no one in our area that's doing it. Like full on supporting their family, only income of the household. I took that on, and I did not want to. We just bought a house. You had helped us buy a house.
Yeah.
I had just there, so like all of this stuff, and then you're like, let's open a space. I'm like, one thing at a time, dude.
Well, and that's what's been cool about it though, is like we've gotten to be able to. Why don't you have your drink up on the table?
Because I don't want to be, shouting out great value cream soda.
Next time we're going to put like tape over it, like we're real fancy.
A little black tape.
Yeah, so you can't see it. Great value. Like, let's talk.
Great value is the best cream soda. Now that we're going to talk about this, I'll just leave it up here on the table. But Great Value cream soda, it's the smoothest, best cream soda. Barks or what are the other ones? They're terrible.
I don't know.
They're terrible.
I don't know.
It makes your throat burn. Smooth. It's an addiction at this point. I go into Walmart and buy like 12 cases of this at a time just so I have them every day.
Okay. Well, back to what we were talking about. Yeah, leave it up on the deal. Let's reset, because we were at a point, with collab, like now the sky's the limit, and we're understanding that, and we're still kind of building collab backwards. I think we both agree on that. The discussions we've had in the last 3-4 weeks, the reach that we've had within the last, month of opening this place has been pretty crazy. But I think now it's time. Like,
let's back up for just a second.
Okay.
Let's talk about the idea of what this was and how it's changed since we've been all the time we put into it, all that stuff from that pitching idea where I was like, yeah, good idea, but let's just wait.
So the original idea of collab was to open a real estate office with a video studio. And that was where you came into play. Like, hey, let's find a spot, get a studio. You can do whatever you want with it. You can hire it. You can rent it out. You can make your content in there. You can bring your clients in there. Like, but I needed a studio, and I knew that there was something there, but I also didn't want the traditional real estate office, because I personally feel like they're great and they have a place, but there's also a spot where you want to pull down the curtain and say, hey, this is just a business place. And so what started out as a real estate office with a video studio kind of morphed, because there's been companies that have done this, like especially in the real estate industry. I don't know about outside the real estate industry, but there's lenders that do it, and they say, well, if you come to XYZ Lending and you make a video, like we'll cross brand it and we'll do it. And that's great. That's a good system for the folks that want to do it. But where I thought collab made more sense was that this isn't a real estate office. This is a co-working space. This is a video studio. This is a meeting space that has no walls. It's agnostic. It doesn't matter if you're in real estate, if you're in banking, if you're in photography, if you're in video. And that's where the side of what you're doing was where it started to grow, because I see you and I see you on social media, and you're saying, hey, we did this light with this kind of thing, and if you really want to come check out our setup, like if you're a creative, like come check out our setup, like so then that's when as we're learning, as I'm like bringing in this whole collaboration over competition, I'm watching you and I'm watching people outside of the area in the industry, and like they're all basically saying like just everybody can win as long as somebody's doing it. And so that's where it kind of evolved into this whole, like, it's just a spot. And now, we set and we built this thing. I say we built it. We didn't build it. Someone else built it.
We might as well have.
But we did a lot. And like, we had all those times to sit and talk about what we could do. And like, we're still learning what we can do. And it's kind of cool, though, because we're getting feedback from across the country. You've seen me be on Zooms with people going, man, I kind of had this idea and I had this, but what do we want to do? And what are you guys doing? And it's kind of this like little prototype co-working space with a different twist from your traditional co-working spaces. So that's where it kind of has evolved. And I mean, we're just doing some kick-ass stuff, and we're still seeing that there's more opportunity.
One of the worst things was that it took 18 months to get this, after we wanted this spot, to get it all fleshed out. But one of the best things, I think, was that it took us 18 months. Not for our own fault, but that gave us the time to think out ideas and think about what we're doing here, painting the whole entire building, like doing stuff late nights up here. We're just tossing out ideas to each other. Whereas if it was just a turnkey thing, we would have just been thrown into it and kind of froze maybe.
Right. And that's where, like, I looked at, and I think you and I looked at a couple of different spots, from the spot downtown to the spot at the corner of Jefferson and 5. Like, there were so many opportunities, but everywhere we went into, nothing felt cool. Nothing felt different and unique. And every time we came here, every time I went and got the key, and I annoyed the hell out of them asking for the key, but like every time we walked in this building, there was just something that we couldn't shake. There was a vibe, there was something that just felt right. So we, go look at a building, and then I'd kind of draw it out and see what made sense. And then it was like, that won't work. And then we come back here and go, but man, check out those ceilings, and you get rid of those. And like this room, and there's a window here, and like all these things, like it just kept coming back to this building, and it kept producing ideas. And it was more of, you could see it and I'm sure you could see it in me, but I know I saw it in you when you walked in. And like, it did get frustrating through the build out, though, because I probably, me, I'm like kind of just let it happen. Like, and I remember, what was it, probably 6-8 months into the build out, I remember you and I meeting up here one day, and you were like, damn it, just get this place open. And I was like, holy, he's in. Like that was the moment, because like Bill, you were apprehensive, and that's fine. Like but once you kind of started to see it, and then we started having more ideas, and then we looked at the final way that we would have it. And like, I do remember, I don't remember when it was, but I remember walking in. I think you have a picture from that one day when the ceiling was still here, and you were like,
every time that we came up here, I had a photo, so I have documented the whole entire progress,
which was cool, though, because I do remember that one day, like you told me, and like I went home and I told Case too. I was like he gets it, and like it lit a fire under me. And obviously we could only do it as quick as we could do it based on them, but like then I went, then it turned in from like, let's do it, all these ideas, to me, going to friends and colleagues and mentors that I have, being like, if I don't get this done and we don't figure out how to make them do it, I'm going to lose the advantage that is Sweno Visuals and you. And that's not good, because then I would go back to this whole like not having it, and then I'd be working from home, and like my business hurt a little bit because I was working from home. I wasn't good at like being intentional. I was waking up when I wanted to wake up. I was getting on the computer when I wanted to get on the computer. And like you've seen it since you saw my face the day I could put my desk together. Yeah. Like if I could get a desk up here, then I could really start getting back into the swing of things. And it's kept me going, and it's helped my business since doing that. Yeah. And so it's been pretty cool, but it's hard to like timeline it all. And I'll be anxious to see, because I know you're probably working on something in the background with pictures, and we've made a few videos.
I have everything. Every time we came here, I snapped a wide shot of what the progress was at that point. I've got this room, that room, everything, how we painted it, how we repainted some things, and all the different variations from a whole entire year or over.
Do you have any videos of you taping everything?
No. Who would want to see that?
Like this dude right here, like you have no idea how good and how meticulous he is when it comes to the blue tape. Like,
and then we tried to take it off, and I wish that I hadn't have been.
Yeah, my fingers still hurt from that. But no, I mean that's where we're at. What other questions do you have? Because it's like, again, the beauty of what we're doing and what I'm doing in my business is like it's changing all the time, and I'm always trying to be a step or two ahead of what's coming, how we're pivoting in the industry and with marketing and that sort of thing. So, what other brain busters you have?
The question we get 100% of the time that we talk about collab is, what is collab? So what is collab?
Collab is a small business marketing center. That is what it is. That's the collab aspect. Collab is also a co-working space. Collab is also a video studio. Collab is also a photography studio. Collab is also a meeting venue. But at the heart of what we want Collab to be is we want to be a resource for small business, for big business if it comes to that, and what we think might happen with it. But at the heart of it, it's a new way to network. It's a new way to collaborate. It's a new way to just be around people, because I think in small business and in business in general, people don't understand enough of what other entrepreneurs and small business go through. Like,
that's the main reason for doing this.
Right. And that's where, like you said I'm involved in all sort of social media, Facebook groups, from real estate to trucks to whatever. And like you learn from people, and you see what they're doing, and the value, and the huge value I had at Remax was that office space. And as I was young and like getting started, like you asked this and I should have said it earlier, but like being in a real estate office, and I wasn't doing a ton of real estate business, but I could hear how agents were handling this sort of thing, and I could hear the objections to this, and I could hear about what's happening in the market, and I could do all that. So I, looking back at Collab, now it's a spot where if you're an insurance agent and you're struggling with lead generation's no different in real estate than it is in insurance. Like, come hang out when we talk about lead gen, and use those tactics for your particular business. And so that's where now we can kind of look at that small business part and go, hey, this is working for Ramsey, and if I tweak it this way, it can work for Jake from State Farm, or whatever the case may be. Like, that's where I go back to. Collab is a small business marketing center. First and foremost, that's how we're really gonna grow it. We're gonna have fun with it. We're gonna be able to offer some different things that people aren't used to here. And then it'll keep kind of growing and being a couple different things. But that's what I want it to be. I want to make it agnostic. I want it business agnostic just business focused. So that's the answer.
Well, that's what I think separates us also. We have the same sort of mindset on that, where some people like to gain knowledge and just hoard it. We both are on the same page of, I want to help whoever wants to learn, because that in turn helps me.
Right.
And helps us in a roundabout way. You're not using that person to get something. You're giving the information. For one, people that have the scarcity mindset, there's no place for that anymore.
Right.
Like the way that the whole world is changing, and this town we live in, small, everyone knows everyone sort of community, there's no place for that. Because if that is the case, if you think everything's so scarce, then it will be scarce for you.
Right.
And the people who are freely giving out information, I've been successful because people see that. They see the enthusiasm that I have for it. I'm not worried about anything. I'm excited for everything.
Right.
So people are attracted to that. They want to work with people who are doing cool stuff and forward thinking. And we both are on the same page in that regard. So that, I think, is going to propel what we do with this way faster, way better. And we're already seeing it. Got some really cool stuff coming up. Like cool opportunities, neat things that kind of old school mindsets might be shifting, and we might be able to facilitate that and help that along in our area. And
right. And the thing too, and we've spoke about it a couple different organizations, is like social media has changed it. Social media is the great equalizer now, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I live my life on. My business lives on Facebook. So, like, it's changing all the time. And instead of just, like, holding back and, like, acting like I know it all, or that, you know, the agent down the street knows it all, like, you have to open up your world, because, like, it's been crazy, but, like, I'm not everyone's real estate agent. I don't want to be. There was a time I thought I needed to be, and I realized my business I got away from where I was centered at that and like that service mindset, because I just was so busy and I was chasing every paycheck and chasing everything, and like it was kind of scary. And now, like, I've really stepped back and I went, okay, I may not be the best real estate agent to help with multifamily commercial things, but I'm really good at helping a family transition to Lebanon or Lake of the Ozarks or the Southwest Missouri area. So once that kind of changed, and like I see all that, and I see the ability to go in and help someone. I've talked about it multiple times, but video is so powerful, and the way video can be done. The lady on Giving Tuesday, like, I've brought it up numerous times. We could not get her through that door. And she sat down, and once she saw that this was something that was real and professional, and like not some fly-by-night or some random, somebody's phone on a tripod. This was audio.
And we also made her feel comfortable too.
Talk
to people.
And she opened up, and like seeing that power, it doesn't matter if you sell real estate. It doesn't matter if you sell cars. Like, learning about that stuff, and then I can leverage the relationship that I build with the car dealer down the street and what he's doing, because there's there's things that he can do or is doing that I might be able to tap into, and vice versa. And like, so again, it's, as I've changed and went to this entrepreneurial marketing mindset, there's been a major shift in how I do business and how others are doing it. You mentioned the world is changing. We no longer, our footprint isn't Laclede County. It's not Laclede County and Camden County. It's, you've seen from what we did with the food drive. Like,
it's not even the state.
It's not the state. Yeah, it's not the country.
Expanded, past this country. So
right. So that's where, all of these things are just helping one another. There's got to be the beauty in what we're doing too, is we can help people learn from our mistakes. Again, going back to like buying equipment. Like, I see in video in real estate, people are like, what kind of camera do I need to buy? Well, you can do it with your phone, or you can make a connection like I did, like we did, and we can help. And you buy a new piece of equipment and you want to be behind the camera and you need somebody to be in front of the camera. Well, okay, I'm your Huckleberry. Yeah. Like, that sort of thing. And so like we can show people the mistakes we made. We can show people the ways to get into it. You can give them opportunities. And if you're going, you know, if Susie comes down the street from, you know, and says, hey, I want to get into video, you can go, you're going, okay, like, come on, like, let's go, saddle up. Like, here's what you can do. You're not going, hey, give me X amount of dollars to do it. You're saying, hey, let's go, because you know that you're not everybody's videographer. Yeah. There's a time you want to get out of doing some of the jobs that you get. And if you're meeting people and referring and making a network of people that you can rely on and trust, then you're just going to do it. And it goes back, again, we talked about know, like, and trust. Like, I've got to know, like, and trust the people I refer out. So, and my clients want to know, like, and trust me. So, like, again, if we're just taking down that barrier of like, it's all mine and I have to keep the, you know, it just frees you up to take chances and to get excited again about what you're doing. That was another thing that got kind of mundane.
The ironic part of that, though, is whenever you are in that mindset, you have less. Whenever you open up and stuff just starts coming to you. Right. Just same thing with money. Like, I've always been very conscious of money and not wanting to spend, like, things like that. One thing that I've noticed, and it's just open, like being open with money. Not that you have to go
blow it.
It. But like, if I investing in, especially if you're getting started, I get questions almost every day from people, even at the level I am, of people wanting to get a camera. I have a message right now from a lady who messaged me this morning of what camera should I get? I wanted to get into this. I want to shoot wildlife. I want to do this. So I like investing the money. If it goes out, if you're passionate about it, that money will come back in like tenfold.
Right.
But being passionate about what you're doing, make sure you're passionate about it. Come to someone like me. I'll let you test the camera. I'll let you play around. I'll show you some stuff. That's the benefit of having a place like this and being open, and like, especially in our community, and where we can really leverage that and be a resource for people. Like you always say that. We want to be a resource for people. There's no better way to level up yourself and your business than being completely selfless and wanting to help other people level up either their personal or business.
It's crazy how it does. And I'm still like, you know, we're still learning. Yeah. And I don't have all the answers, but I'm not scared to help, to find somebody that will give me the answers. And how can we help them? And how can they help us? And how can they help this, you know, community organization or this charity or this event? Like if we're doing things the right way and we're learning, then we're going to be able to give back across different avenues and industries and all that. So, you know, we talk about it with Collab, and we talk about how, you know, we did Headshot Day, and there's people that come in and then they have ideas about this spot, and we can go, hey man, we're open to that idea. It may not be the most polished version of that idea, but like, we do enough of that idea, then we'll level up what we're doing. Yeah. But until then, we're gonna offer a cool place to hang out. We're gonna offer a cool place to have a meeting. We're gonna offer a cool studio to be able to get your event out there, or your organization. So the sky, man, it's been just mind blowing, like, to see it all. And we've talked about it in the last month, but like, I'm still blown away by what we're doing, because we're doing it in an organic way. We're not out buying commercial ad space and like all this, and you know, we're giving people the opportunity to stop in and wonder what Collab's all about. Then we're gonna make it what those people want. So we're kind of, I think we're building Collab in a way that we both built our own businesses to then build other businesses. And there's some things in the works, and there's some ideas being tossed around, you know, that whole collaborative mindset. And that's where I think, you know, it's missing in the business industry. It's missing in the community is just like, how can we all do it? But we're planting those seeds, and then we're getting those random phone calls or random texts or Facebook messages like, can we do that there? And we're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Give us a week and we'll figure it out. Or can we host this podcast? Or can we feature this business? Or what can we do? Or can we help this charity? Or, can we help this small business get off its feet? And that's where we want to be able to do it. But we also want to know that we can help our businesses get off their feet and kind of move into that new realm. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I just want to say before we end up wrapping up and everything that I appreciate everything you've ever done for me. Like in terms of taking the chance. You didn't know who I was. You shot the message. Like taking that chance, being open to trying things, being so supportive of everything even whether we work together or not. You supported, been the cheerleader over there that I didn't have a lot of. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the helping along the way, the business. You're a little older than I am, maybe a lot older than I am. So you had a little bit more, to go on, and you've been like another big brother to me in that regard.
It's weird hearing you say that, not because I don't,
I'm not super open with my feelings, but I just wanted to be this is public.
Well, and
I want to make people, you always talk about me. Every time we go anywhere, you're talking about how I helped your business. You immeasurably, you helped us buy a house. You were there supporting us in that. You
remember that?
Our fridge crapped out the first week we moved there, and Ramsey comes and helps me go buy a fridge and load it up in his truck and load it into
I shouldn't have got rid of that truck.
All the things.
You remember,
I appreciate it.
You remember when you guys, I wasn't even in town. I had Angie help me show you guys the house. Yeah. And then you remember, I went, and I'm so surprised, and this is, I remember I was in Florida with my brothers on a fishing trip, and I remember walking down the street, and I got wind that your offer had been accepted in a multiple offer situation, and I remember how can I give back to you guys for trusting me and for the relationship and for what we've done, and I shot you that quick video. And that was probably one of the very first actual videos that I made. It was terrible. It's like me probably after a few beers, probably sunburnt, probably walking down the street.
Street lamp light on you was all yellow.
Bradenton, Florida, and just doing that. But that's the power and the confidence that I've gained from you and what we're trying to do. And so I appreciate you saying that. I'll echo it right back at what, and it's hard to look in the eye because we don't have these conversations very much. But everything you said for me and my family is tenfold because, again, I wouldn't have been able to do the things that I've done for my family in this place if it wasn't for you kind of taking a chance too, because I'm not easy to work with. I get it. I know it. I get set in my ways, but somehow every project we've worked on together has worked, and it's from, again, not I may have the idea, but I don't try to step on your toes on the editing part. There's times where I throw an idea in there, but I know if I give it to you that it's going to come back and I'm going to be proud of it, and that has made my family and my life more than you'll ever know, because it's another person I can know, like, and trust that understands what we're doing. So so to you, thank you. I know we need to probably quit being weird. Do you have some not weird questions or topics to talk about real quick?
Hour and 15 minutes in at this point.
Well, the last one I did was an hour and a half because I just started talking.
Well, let's keep going then. How about a couple quick rapid fire questions we can get some sound bites from?
Okay.
Someone's looking to go full time on any endeavor that they want to do. What would your advice be to them?
Find your tribe. It's the most stupid, cliche, weird, I hate it. I hate that whole find your tribe, find your vibe, all that, but it's so true. It is 110% true. I've found it at Real Broker, and I found it through Collab and through the people that we're bringing in here, but you can't put a number or a value on just being around and having someone to bounce ideas off of, because it's it's mind-blowing. The second, so two things: find your tribe. Dumb, hate saying that, and just be authentic. Like that, it's cliche, but again, it is. If you're just yourself, if you're Nathan Cole in a Santa hat with a covering your midsection with no clothes on, like
a little bit lower than midsection.
Well, yeah, that's Nathan Cole, and that's him, and people wanted to work with him, and so you have to just be yourself. That authenticity. Next,
do you think your career highlight so far has been, and why?
Ooh, that one's tough.
Or has everything just been shit?
No, honestly, my highlight has been. Ooh, there's so many fun things that I've gotten to do. Meeting the CEO of the company that I represent, Real Broker, in San Antonio at our conference. It was late. And I'd been sitting in the lobby bar, and we had LobbyCon at that conference. But he comes sneaking in through the sliding doors at the hotel and like tried to be incognito, and I saw him walk in, and so I just walked over and I set my phone to record, and I just walked up to him, and I'd been on a bunch of Zoom calls with him, and we'd had him on our mastermind that we do at our brokerage, and like I knew him, but I'd never physically met him, and so that was a highlight to kind of do that. But yeah, that would be it. Or there's one picture out there, and you may find it and do it, but there's a picture when I went to a RE/MAX convention in February of 2020. Some of my best friends in the industry were sitting up front, and they saved me a seat. And I remember looking at the thing and seeing a photographer, and I got my eye on him and I followed him. And I remember when he took a picture of the crowd, and I made sure that I stood out in that crowd, and I'm making the goofiest face in like a sea of red, white, and blue, and real estate industries and executives and all of this. I'm just standing there and like I stick out like a sore thumb. And so that was kind of like my business in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of a cool little moment.
Your career highlight is sticking out like a sore thumb.
Right. Yeah, I guess. And then, I've got other things like adopting Allie, and that's all made possible through this career. Mm-hmm. And, I don't tell a lot of people, but there's a cool story about we adopted Allie about a month before Greer was born. We knew we wanted to have that done and finalized. And what's really cool is we got Allie's new birth certificate, and it's dated the same day Greer was born. So that's a cool thing. And through my career, made that possible. Mm-hmm. And so that's, yeah, there's a couple. My family's my highlight. Like, they're pretty awesome. I don't deserve them. So, yeah. Give me something else.
What's something you've always wanted to do but have never done, and why haven't you?
In work or in life?
Any. Something you've always been like, I want to do this, and you just never have?
I always wanted to have work-life balance, and I finally have it, and I don't think I value it enough at times. Mm-hmm. And so, I guess in addition to having it a little bit, I want to have it more. And I want to figure it out, and we're getting there. So that would be something. I mean, but there's not a lot I want anymore, because I've got a beautiful family, and I've got a business that's doing well. I don't know. I honestly don't know of something that I want to go to New York City, and I missed out on a New York City trip in July of 2021, right after going to Real Broker. I missed out on that, and I'll probably always regret that, just because it was an opportunity to go and have a whirlwind 2 days in New York City, but it just didn't time out right. So
that was whenever the COVID stuff was going pretty crazy still?
Well, it was right after my girls were in New Mexico, and I was at the lake cabin for about a week by myself, and it would have been 3 more days without them. So it was just too much. Yeah. COVID was fine because it was pretty much over. You still had to wear masks, and But like that's one thing I miss out on, and I'll do it. I'll take Allie or Greer or both one of these days, and we'll be tourists in New York. Like I want to eat a slice of pizza on the sidewalk in New York, or a hot dog, and I want to see like Central Park, and so that'll be something. Yeah.
Any other things you would like to add?
I guess the biggest thing is like let's just have fun. Let's figure out more ways that we can help people. Let's figure out more ways that we can get involved in the community. Let's figure out how we can give back more, because I think that's what I want to do. CoLab is giving us that opportunity. So, if you got any ideas, if you're listening to this, and if it's a year from now, hopefully CoLab is thriving, and you got an idea and we haven't done something, like let's do it. Or if it's 2 months from now, and we haven't done something, let's try it. Let's figure out how we can everyone can benefit and everybody can win, because I really do think that we can all win. And I think that there's enough business, there's enough time, there's enough exposure out there for all of us that we can win. Mm-hmm. So that's it. Just give us a call. Shoot us a message on Facebook. Like us, follow us, share a story.
Where can the people find you and follow you?
Facebook is, like I mentioned earlier, so you can follow me, Ramsey Stewart, Real Broker Ramsey. That's my lifeline. You can text me or call me at 417-650-5364. You can
this
find
is going out worldwide.
That's
so
all right. I'm good with it. Or you can find our CoLab page at Lebanon CoLab. Yeah, Facebook at Lebanon CoLab. That's that's the hub for what we're doing. So yeah. And if I can't stress it enough, and it sounds like but if we can help, if you or I know you're willing to, and I know I'll do whatever I can. We're still struggling, figuring out kind of some of the things that I'm good at or what we're trying to do. But if we can help at all, just give us a shout, and let's put together some fun stuff. Let's make more videos.
That's the plan.
Let's just blow it up.
Well, thanks for being the first podcast guest. Something I've always wanted to do.
Thanks for letting me ruin your first podcast by talking too much.
It can only go up from here.
And I still don't know if I'm looking at you or over there.
I think you did good.
I kept it mostly here, but like you told me to point or emphasize
if you
points,
make a point.
If I make a point, so over there. But no, dude, this is every day I walk in this building, and the heart and the thought process, and we walk in here and I get to see you and you're this thing. I like this is pretty cool, and I'm so excited to keep doing it, even though we have a lot of sound panels now that we didn't have before.
Oh, there's 140 something in here.
I'm just looking at like all of these.
But
designs.
notice how good the sound sounds.
There's not the sound sounds.
Yeah. What are you gonna? Are you gonna see how good the sound looks?
No, but you could say, notice how good the audio sounds.
There you go.
Yeah. See, I taught you something. Maybe
once. Check.
Done.
Taught him something.
Nah.
Well, thanks for being on.
Yeah, and
thank you guys for tuning in. Leave a comment if any other ideas, any people we should have on here. I also want to do this remotely, so I can go visit people. I can have them on via Zoom, Skype, whatever the kids are using these days. That's something you could teach me on.
And Happy New Year, by the way. Yeah. It's like we're recording this.
The day
are we supposed to say what day? Or
the day that this goes up will be my 31st birthday.
Right.
I'm catching up to you.
Here's what we'll do. Here's what we'll do. Here's a fun way to do this. So hopefully we get people watching and listening and doing it. But I wanted to take Bryon out for Christmas, and there's I could go into stories about what he hasn't eaten, where he hasn't been, all the things that I do with my family and all the time. But if you make it all the way to this, drop a comment of where I should take Bryon to eat. He doesn't eat much.
Just think of like a 3 or 4 year old's diet, and that is exactly what I eat.
I would love to find a place that has the best mozzarella sticks in the world, because he likes mozzarella sticks. The best with a straight face. The best plain cheeseburger in the world. The best pizza delivery place in the world because he's never had pizza delivered. Who sells the best ice in the world because he's never bought ice. And so many other like things. But no, that would be really cool is drop a comment of a place that Bryon should eat in Missouri, and I'm gonna make it a point to one day we'll vlog a trip or we'll do something, and we'll do a restaurant highlight or something like that. So yeah, that would be something I'd ask for. Is like just let's culture Bryon a little bit. Like
I need to be schooled on some.
Do you
food.
think I could get you to eat sushi?
No.
Come on.
100% no.
Do you like rice?
No.
You don't like rice?
I don't like anything. I literally eat meat.
Okay.
That's about it.
Do you like lunch meat? Do you eating lunch meat?
Like turkey?
You like ham?
Not really. The consistency, I just can't.
Like what about like shaved thin ham that there's really no consistency to because it's thin shaved ham?
I mean, at that point,
do you like
isn't it
mayonnaise?
basically like turkey?
Do you like mayonnaise?
Yeah. With turkey.
Do you like jalapenos?
No.
Can
I don't like hot. I don't like sour. I don't like spicy. I don't like any flavor that is not a base flavor. I just don't like it. That's
goodness gracious. Well,
thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you sticking around. It's been an hour and 30 minutes now. So
and I've got 13 notifications on my phone.
Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you coming on, sticking with me throughout the journey so far and going to the moon. See you guys in the next one.